Let's Sleep Together by Flapjack09, read by Distracted by Books. Chapter 3, Offer of a Lifetime. What? Izuku had to make sure he heard that right. He knew May was bombastic, unpredictable, and maybe a little crazy in an affectionate way. But there was no way she said what he thought she said. May hardly slept at all, so there was no way she'd actually suggest that you heard me, 10 million, let's sleep together, you and me. What? Izuku's jaw dropped to the floor, and he felt like his brain was about to crack open like an egg. His friends, meanwhile, weren't doing much better. Deku and Hatsume are sleeping together? Ochaku mumbled with a 1,000-yard stare off in her own little world. Deku and Hatsume are sleeping together. Hatsume! That is... I don't even... What are you... Ida sputtered like a broken-down car. There are no words that can describe how many school regulations you are violating right now. What makes you think it's okay to request something so salacious from Midoriya in the middle of the hallway? Salacious? May cocked an eyebrow at him. I don't see what's so bad about sleeping together. The fact that you don't is a problem in itself. And you, he whipped around to Izuku, jamming a pointer finger into his face. Is this what you've really been up to last night? Sneaking off to the support corps storms to do kami knows what? No! Izuku snapped out of his shocked stupor to deny the accusations being slung his way. I mean, I was at the support corps storms last night, but I didn't do any of the things you think I'm doing. I was carrying an unconscious Hatsume back to her dorm, and I accidentally fell asleep too. Yeah, we slept together, May reiterated, her arms folded with annoyance. What did you think we were doing? The shock on Ida and Ochako's faces quickly faded, realizing how much of an ass they were making of themselves, and that they had to get their heads out of the gutter. So, you're not doing anything? Ochako asked to confirm. Nothing but sleeping. And speaking of which, 10 million, you still haven't given me an answer. Will you sleep with me or not? Izuku's friends winced as he nearly had an aneurysm right then and there. Hatsume, that wasn't even supposed to happen in the first place. Why would you want to do it again? Because according to my hypothesis, it's great for my productivity. What? Izuku cocked his head to the side, confused. How are those two things related? I'm not sure. We've only done it once, but the results are looking positive so far. Somehow, I managed to finish a project without any explosions. May sounded genuinely flabbergasted at this statement. I thought explosions were essential to the innovation process, but I guess not? Come to think of it, Deku was also performing really well during today's hero exercise, Ochako hummed, which only helped prove May's hypothesis. See what I mean, 10 million? When we slept together, our respective productivity increased substantially. We need to recreate this experiment to determine if it's a root cause. Sounds to me like the root cause is just a decent night's sleep. Ida chimed in, with Izuku nodding at his theory. Couldn't be. Even when I get a full 8 hours of sleep, I've never been this focused and energetic, and I bet you haven't either. That earned a series of disbelieving looks from everyone in the hallway. You've gotten 8 hours of sleep before? Ochako asked. When my parents forced me, yes, but this could be beneficial for both of us, 10 million. So what do you say? Up for a little experimentation? Even as she held her hand out to him, a hopeful smile etched on her face, Izuku maintained the air of uncertainty that had been present since she first ran up to him. Don't get me wrong, May. I'd love to help you with this, especially if it could positively impact your support work. But we're not exactly allowed to visit each other's dorms past curfew. How would we even get permission to conduct an experiment like this? Then, as if he'd been waiting till just the right moment, Majima ran up to the group, gasping for air like he'd just completed a 100-yard dash. Hatsume, you can't just drop everything and leave like that. Heard of the hall pass? He took his hands off his knees and straightened his posture, which wasn't saying much, given his already slanted spine. What's so important that you had? What's so important that you got to run out like that? I had to see 10 million, she calmly explained while gesturing to Izuku, who awkwardly waved at the teacher. My babies only stopped exploding after I slept with him. She means that literally. They did nothing inappropriate, Ida informed him. So I'm hoping to keep that streak going by sleeping with him again. Is that so? Majima scratched his chin, his gaze drifting between Mei and Izuku. Well, the results haven't lied so far, so I guess it's worth giving it a shot. I'll write you both a pass to the principal that lets you sleep in each other's dorms. Wait, what? Ida's jaw fell to the floor, summarizing Izuku's own thoughts quite succinctly. You're really going to allow this? Are you not afraid of the widespread implications this could have on all of UA's student life? Listen, Hatsume's explosions have already taken at least 5 years off of my total lifespan. I'm not just gonna sit around and let that 5 turn into a 10. Then it looks like Project Snuggle Bunny is a go! Mei cheered while Izuku covered up his face, flushed red with embarrassment. Can you please not call it that? Too late! Once a project is named, it cannot be unnamed. Izuku was both excited for and dreading that upcoming night. Mostly the latter, but he still couldn't deny the former. He always appreciated the work Mei put into his gear, and if he could repay her by helping her improve her work, that'd be a net positive for both of them. He just had to remind himself that this was purely for scientific purposes, and there was nothing deeper at play here, and he should just shut off his stupid brain. He kept reminding himself of that last part as he walked across to the first year support course dormitory, during which he received several strange looks from the other occupants, which he mostly tried to drown out. He already had enough reasons to explode from embarrassment. He didn't need another. Picking up his pace, he made his way to May's room, where the girl in question was waiting for him inside. There you are, 10 million. Are you ready to get this experiment started? Yeah, he lied, still just as much a nervous wreck as when May pitched the idea to him in the first place. But, are you ready? He gestured to May's outfit, which was the exact same one she wore in the lab, including the goggles strapped across her forehead. For comparison, Izuku wore a pair of black athletic shorts and a white t-shirt that had the word jacket printed on it. That doesn't look super comfortable to sleep in. What are you talking about? This is what I sleep in every night. And besides, this is an experiment, which means keeping the number of variables to a minimum. If you say so. Izuku pretended to understand the scientific method. So, how do we get started? He carefully stepped around all the trinkets littering the floor as he made his way to the bed. The same way we did last time, with me latching onto you. Without warning, May snuck up on Izuku from behind and latched onto his back, both her arms and legs tightly wrapped around his torso. Naturally, he was far from prepared to experience May's entire self pressing up against him, so his whole body went stiff as a board. Is this how it went last time? She asked. You'll have to clue me in. I was asleep for most of it. Eh, something like this. Sticking to the experiment, Izuku forced his frozen body to move, but instead he ended up tipping over like a statue, and the two of them landed on the bed in the same position as last time. Good. Now that we're in position, we just need to snuggle up against each other until we both pass out. She made good on her word and started squeezing up against Izuku, practically burying herself in the warmth he provided. Of course, the only reason he was so warm in the first place was because of how flustered he was getting. She was very aggressive with her cuddling, likely as part of some misguided effort to speed things along. He could feel every single part of May gripping onto him for dear life, while that sounded uncomfortable on paper, for Izuku, it was anything but. Simply put, May was soft, extremely soft, to the point where it reminded him of a piece of clay. He let out a thoughtful finding that an apt comparison. They were just two pieces of clay squishing themselves together until they became one. He wasn't sure where this train of thought was taking him, but the more he thought about it, the more he started to soften up. As his body became less stiff, he actually started to enjoy May's touch. Her persistent presence, accompanied by her iron grip, made him feel safe in a way. He continued leaning into that feeling, letting his walls slowly crumble until there was nothing left and he was out like a light. "Hey, 10 million. Is it working for you yet?" whispered May. The silence on the other end told her all she needed to know, and she furrowed her brow in frustration. "I don't get it. I'm cuddling as hard as I can. This should be working." Clearly it was for Izuku, but if neither of them were getting something out of it, then what was the point of this experiment? It made her feel like she was wasting her time, and there was nothing she hated more than that. Maybe this was a fluke. Should have known better than to sleep on something that isn't a desk. As she admitted defeat, her grip on Izuku began to loosen. Yet, strangely, this caused a slight shift in May's demeanor. Now that she wasn't so focused on clinging on to him, she was able to take in just what she was clinging on to. Izuku had what could be considered a sleeper build. While his back wasn't extremely broad, the sheer density of his muscles made it firm as hell. It almost reminded May of her workbench and the countless nights she spent with her face pressed up against its hard wooden surface. But with Izuku, there was a certain tenderness beneath it all, ensuring that she wouldn't wake up with any back, neck, or shoulder pains the next day. That was an offer she couldn't refuse. And just like Izuku, she was out cold within a matter of seconds. End of chapter.